You have the screen capture on it?
Yep, I think we are live actually. Looking on YouTube right now, so it appears that we are live. I don't know. Looks like I'm just streaming straight off my Discord though. I'm not quite sure how to adjust that, Tyson.
Oh, okay, so all right. So
you have the screen capture on it?
Yep, I think
so.
You have the screen capture on it?
This is where we want to go to the top right, and then you get the three little dots that says more.
top right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jeff's first time trying to stream as Tyson is live on location at the Ritz-Carlton, Tampa, Florida, getting away for a few days. Where?
Sarasota, actually.
Sarasota. That's a much longer drive than I anticipated for you this morning.
It was.
Where are we going now? I'm going to more.
We're going to the top right above my camera.
Okay.
There's three little dots.
I got nothing. I got no dots.
You got to move the cursor there, and they'll show up.
Oh, I got you on the Discord. You mean?
Yes.
Okay. What are we going to?
That.
Yep.
We're going to uncheck show non-video participants.
Okay.
That's going to get rid of Jeremy's box.
Wonderful.
Then we're going to go to the bottom right screen and hit full screen.
You know, here we are. I mean, let's see if we did this correctly on YouTube now. Everybody just bear with us for a minute, but I still have the let me see. Waiting.
I'm just waiting on you to make sure that you click the full screen, and we're good to go.
I did. Okay. Okay, here we are.
All right,
we're live. We're live. We're up and running. We are up and running.
There we go. Listen, welcome, everyone, to another show of the Uninformed Fan. As Jeffrey said, we are live from Sarasota at the Ritz-Carlton. Shout out to Amex Travel and Amex Rewards for hooking up this free night stay for us for a couple days, as my wife had a few days of work and needed a
the yin and
a
the
little
yang.
bit of a rest here.
The yin and the yang, Tai. You know, you need a little bit of rest and relaxation after dealing with tourists at the Mousetrap. For as long as she had to, so you know it's tough. You know it's tough out there.
That would make sense. And of course, you know, yesterday we go through the whole thing. I make sure I got everything packed, everything I need for my portable setup. Get down here. Not only do I not have the cords to set up the extra monitors in order to stream, I have no headphones, no nothing. And then I felt like I can't remember what the name of it. It was Steve Carell, and they were in the Space Force movie. Remember? And then they go to try to disable the bomb, and then the Microsoft update hits, and he says we're not going to be able to do this for 45 minutes. Do you remember what show I'm talking about?
I do not. Kind of, yes, but not really. That was on Netflix, wasn't it?
I think so. So I went outside to set up. I opened up my new laptop, and it not only does it go through a Windows entire reboot, it goes through an entire HP hardware firmware update on top of it.
Don't know what any of that means. Don't know what any of that means. Yeah. Absolutely not.
It's okay though.
Yeah.
So how are we doing today? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good.
Are you okay over there? You don't need a monitor. Once you hit it, just hit it and forget it.
No. I know. I'm trying to pull up our notes that we had made that Jeremy so diligently went over since we are doing the football preview today. So.
Oh, we're gonna finish those last two today.
Well, we were just gonna do the one today, I believe, the AFC South.
Okay.
What we were talking about doing, but
it's a good thing that you could just put that up on your phone right here, right?
The weekend was good. I got a chance to get out and play golf, even to your dismay, as you mentioned so eloquently that it was going to pour rain, that we had no shot of getting out on Friday. We managed to.
Did it pour rain?
It poured rain. It absolutely poured rain.
Exactly.
I got soaking wet. We only got to play, 9-something holes that we were on. But, I mean, it was a good time, anytime you're with the boys.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you got in that money, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we forced through 9. We probably finished a little bit earlier than what we had to. But but it was fine. You know, we had a good time. I of course took it down, as is per usual. And yeah, I mean, other than that, let's see. Saturday I worked, Sunday I worked. Now today is Monday, so didn't really get a chance to watch a ton of football. I saw some highlights. I did get a chance to watch the Bucks game a little bit, and a few.
And that's really all we
A
need.
few throws from Trask, but that's about it. I feel like a lot of the starters didn't really play in this game too. I think they're all kind of gearing up for Game 3. The only starter that I hope did play is that one of Kyle Trask. So we will see what decision the Bucks make, and where he goes from there.
Let's just dive right into it. Because, you know, as much as I really just wanted to take the day off today, I have a lot to say about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the organization and the fan base. And let me tell you, it's nothing good. Nothing good at all. We came into this thing, we said, listen, this is a 2-quarterback competition. We're bringing in Baker Mayfield to see what we have with Trask. We're going to let what happens on the practice and on the field determine who's playing and who's going to be our starting quarterback. We saw Baker Mayfield come out in practice, in the training camps, and throw numerous interceptions, 10 turnovers to Kyle Trask's 1. We saw great throws by him. We did see great throws by Baker Mayfield. So if I'm taking those at face value, I would say that if anything, Kyle Trask has a slight edge versus Baker Mayfield. Then we come out preseason game week 1, we see Baker Mayfield come out and go 6 for 8, doesn't throw a pass over 8 yards, doesn't make any throws that required any type of risk or anything of that nature. And we hail him an absolute hero because he has a 136 QBR rating and is the next coming of Christ. However, again, he had one good throw that was a fade over the end, and the rest was just regular, whatever you want to call about. So then we go and move on to the next one. We have Kyle Trask that comes in preseason week 2 and just absolutely lights it up. I think he went 20 for 28, but it should have been more like 24, 25 of 28. There was 4 drop balls that hit every receiver directly in the hands. He had no bad throw whatsoever that I saw. And then he had the great throw to Trey Palmer in the end zone, which he makes a great catch. And, of course, all of the Trask haters on the Buccaneers fan page are like, well, that's just completely him. And they were literally in the same breath were hauling about how Baker Mayfield threw such a great pass to his touchdown to Trey Palmer in the end zone. It gives me a migraine headache just even thinking about it. So then we come out of this week 2 game with nothing but accolades for Kyle Trask. And it was really painful to watch. Who was it? Rondé Barber? He was the commentator, I believe. Watch him and the other guy call this game and just not want to give Trask the props that he deserved. They did give him props, but it was reserved props. And then I see that, you know, when I watch SportsCenter and I see NFL Network or something of that nature, watching them completely praise Baker Mayfield over game 1 over throwing 6 for 8 with no balls over 8 yards. And then just to pretty much glance over what Kyle Trask did in this game was absolutely just – it just goes to show. Now, of course, then we had was it Wolford or Wilford?
Wofford, yeah. Wofford.
We saw the injury of him there that got hurt. And then when they put Trask back into the game, that's when I already knew that Kyle Trask was not going to be the starter week 1. Because why would you put Trask back in there and not? Well, when they asked Todd Wonderful Bowles, who can't coach for anything in his life, why he did that, he said, well, I didn't want to put Baker Mayfield in with that O-line. But you're willing to put Kyle Trask into that line. And we're still supposed to believe that this is a quarterback competition. This is the same thing that we've been talking about since the beginning of it. Todd Bowles is coaching for his life. We both know he's going to be fired at the end of this year. He's not going to take a flyer on Trask regardless of what he does because everything that has been on the field has been absolute perfection, especially last game. I mean, I don't think he could have played any better. He had 4 drops that hit these receivers dead in the hands. The teardrops, the long passes, everything that we saw out of him was absolutely amazing. So I just don't understand what they're even doing. I mean, you saw the game.
Yeah, no. And I thought Trask threw some dots. I thought he was really good. He looked pretty poised in the pocket too. I always like. I think a big telltale sign for me a lot of times with quarterbacks is where are your eyes, right? When you receive the look you lose are like, oh, what's going on over here at the Ritz-Carlton? Like, mind your business, all right? I got 4 people watching us, okay? It's fine. Leave me alone. Yeah, but I always like to see where quarterbacks' eyes are because I feel like that also is a direct correlation to the confidence that they have in what's going on with their line, what's going on with the offense, and the way everything's developing. And I thought Trask was really good, actually. I loved what I saw. We all know that Baker has a short leash, shall we say, on him. So I know they still say that it's a competition. Yeah, I guess I forgot about you're not wearing headphones, so they can definitely hear me talking shit about them standing in the background of my shot. Get the fuck out of the way. We love Marriott, by the way, too. No, I think JC actually sent me something. I'm looking for the text right now because I do want to give him some props as well. But he said Mina Kimes just gave the realest take on us this preseason on her division breakdown. She said that we're a 10-plus win team with maybe a 3-win quarterback situation. So...
What does that even mean?
Like, we have the talent and the roster to do it, but it's just I feel like we've mismanaged this entire situation. The fact that we're not giving Trask a shot and letting him.
I'm gonna get that again.
Do what?
Talking shit where they can hear you, and I'm the only one that has to sit here and deal with it.
You're gonna be fine, bro. It's the Ritz Carlton. Ain't nobody about that life, bro. Ain't no Karen.
I ain't got my room yet.
No, it's true. Don't worry. If anything happens, I'll try to get you slid over to the JW or something.
You already be doing that.
First of all,
but anyway,
I heard that the
back to it. We're getting off on a tangent. So back to this. Yes, we saw some great things out of Kyle Trask, and what the thing that really just blows my mind.
It's like what else? What else do you want to see from him? You know what I mean? Like what else is he supposed to do? You know, like
exactly.
He's doing everything
and these aren't even the number
asking.
ones.
Yeah, he's doing everything that you're asking to do, and then you're like, well, you know, man, I can't believe he played that well. This sucks. Now we got to really look like pieces of shit for not starting him. You know,
it just makes no sense to me. And honestly, the fans. And I'm just going to chalk this up to the fact of what you talked about. You know, the Florida Gator controversy. But going in there and just looking at the comments under the Pewter reports, or even I think it was NBC Tampa, and listening to people just talk about how Trask is absolute garbage. I'm like, but what I don't get is the praise for Baker Mayfield. I just don't understand it. They're talking about, he's never succeeded because he hasn't had good coaching. He hasn't had this. He hasn't done. I'm like, it's just idiots that don't know anything about football.
Yeah, it can only be everybody else's fault so much. You know what I mean? Like
that's why the top tier quarterbacks are making $60 million a year and he's making $9 million or whatever it is. That's right, because he's so good and has been so mismanaged. Again, to me, I think it's just something where Todd Bowles is coaching for his job. Yeah, and I don't think he has any intention of giving that to a rookie quarterback coming across. This isn't a competition. Now, he did say that both of them are going to play in Game 3. Which I am going to go to that. And here's what I foresee with this, because they did say Mike Evans is going to play, Chris Godwin is going to play, the starters are going to play. So I think you're going to see Baker Mayfield get the start. You're going to see the starters play the first quarter, and then Kyle Trask is going to come in with backups. Mike Evans isn't playing 2 quarters.
He might. I mean, just to get him like a tune-up because they haven't really played at all. So far in the preseason,
if that's the case, then it could be Baker first quarter, Trask second quarter, but I just don't see those guys going in there the whole time.
Here's the other thing that is kind of sucky as well too, is the fact that let's say that they do start Baker, right? You're going into week 1 in Minnesota, right? So you're playing a team in a dome whose defense is not going to be as good as it was last year already. Secondary, could be very questionable. And you're talking about a chance for Baker Mayfield to go out there and light it up and then use that as his flag in the sand game of, well, look what happened week 1, when they're playing
here's what else I was going to propose, as we kind of put a bow on this, because obviously I'm fired up about this.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a real Bucs fan. And that's what pisses me off even more. Is that I'm so fired up about this. So then I was also thinking about this. What if this is a subliminal mindfuck by Bowles, right? Like, I'm going to start Baker knowing that they play the Vikings week 1, the Bears week 2, and the Eagles week 3. Now, those could be 3 wins and those could be 3 losses. You could be looking at 3 losses dead in the face. And then you get the Saints the next week out of that. So you might get even Baker even week 4 for the Saints. You could start off 0-4 theoretically.
Yeah.
And then, but then you got the Lions right behind it. But then you insert, this is a gauntlet of a schedule to start with. So, I mean, I don't think you think about this. Okay, so you got the Vikings, the Bears, the Eagles, the Saints, who looked really good, the Lions, you have the Falcons, but then you have the Bills. Then after that, you get a few games in there, but that's not the easiest schedule. So what if this is a subliminal money by Todd Bowles? And he's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to start Baker this because I'm going to lose 3 games, and then I don't have to look back. And I think that might be the only way that Kyle Trask could fully take over this team. Because let's be honest, you give Kyle Trask that week 1 start, he throws 1 interception, 1 bad play, everyone's going to be calling for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So what if it's one of those things where he's gonna put Baker in at week 1, and then when he's an ultimate disaster, like we all know that he's going to be, whether it takes 2 or 3 weeks, he can make the transition to Trask and be like, this is what it is now.
It's funny to me too that you're just now finding out about this fan base in a sense where like
oh my God,
like the years that I went through with Jameis and just even before that. I don't go on message boards. I don't follow anybody. I have my own opinion. I talk to my own friends who I have about the Bucs, and I keep everything else just in this own little headspace because it's just
like all of these delusional Gator fans. I'm not delusional. I'm watching this, and I called out last year when he had some really bad games, especially there that preseason game with the end of the game with the Falcons with all the scrubs. He played terribly. He did, and he had some bad throws in preseason a week ago. But right now, what we're seeing out of Kyle Trask right now is he deserves a shot
to
be in the consideration. And like I said, we'll see what happens. Me and my father-in-law are going to go down to the Ravens game on Saturday.
Cool.
We'll see what happens down there, kind of scope things out, but we'll see how it goes. But man, when we go back to do our final win totals, I think I'm going to be adjusting the Bucs win totals. Well, I don't see a cohesive team, and when you have Mike Evans, basically the face of your franchise now that Tom Brady's gone, the guy that's been there forever, saying we want to know who is starting at quarterback position, and then immediately after that, your coach goes, "We don't need to know who's starting right now. Everything's fine." That just tells me your house is nowhere near in order.
Yeah.
Nowhere near in order.
No, I agree. We'll see. Was there anything else that you saw, football-wise, NFL-wise, from the weekend?
Honestly, I can't watch preseason games, bro. It's so bad. So bad. I did see some good highlights out of Kansas City. Watching a little bit of the sports plays, I did see Tua throw his first interception on his first play.
Yeah, I was talking with TJ about this last night, actually. Trevor Lawrence did the exact same thing. Like, Trevor Lawrence came out and, very first pass play, threw a pick, and then lit it up for the next, whatever. Tua ends up 5 of 7 on the day. So
these are teams that we know are going to work out. Yeah. There's really, and the only reason why I watch the Bucs so much is just because strictly the quarterback competition. I had the Bears on the secondary TV because I knew Justin Fields wasn't going to start.
Yeah.
And again, how much faith can you put into what you see on the on preseason?
Yeah, I do want to say there was one takeaway that I had from watching the games from a distance, not from as up close as maybe I could have. But the brief time that I watched Daniel Jones and the way that they're using Darren Waller in that offense right now, and the more that I think about the New York Giants and the fact that Josh Allen took his biggest step in year 2 with Brian Daboll and the Buffalo Bills, and then regressed the year after when Brian Daboll left, I think that I watched them line up Darren Waller as a wide receiver on the outside one-on-one with somebody, and he cooked 3 plays in a row. And if you look at, I'm going to pull up the box score real quick, because Daniel Jones was throwing dots, bro. 8 of 9, 135 rating, 69 yards, nothing crazy, but he does throw a tutty. So he was really interesting to me. And, I think he had 3 or 4 targets probably, and he does come down with 3 catches. But the other kid who was very interesting to me as well, too, is Jalen Hyatt. He's the rookie out of Tennessee who was a speedster for them, blowing by guys. I thought he looked great. He caught a huge deep ball as well. I think the Giants might have something cooking this year. I don't know.
I'll tell you, after TJ said the same thing about last year in regards to fantasy points and Tom Brady, I paid a little bit more attention to Daniel Jones there.
Yeah.
Put up some numbers.
He ain't wrong. He was wrong. Brady finished ahead of him in fantasy points, but
naturally.
It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I will say.
But Tom Brady also had what we would all consider one of his worst years.
Worst years ever, without a doubt.
In that year, so
100%.
we're going to take that with a grain of salt. But I completely agree. I think that the Giants, even looking back last year, they had some great explosive plays. They had some times where they raised your eyebrows when you're like, wait a minute. To your point, I think it is just one of those things where I think that team just needs some cohesiveness with the wide receiver department. They just haven't had that wide receiving core that makes them go, who's going to stop who? And with the addition of Darren Waller, I think that obviously, puts that wide receiver room deeper. Yes, he is a tight end, but he's kind of like the Eric Ebron type, where, or the Kelsey type that that are moved all around and be able to use anywhere. And for some reason, defense just don't know how to guard them.
It's tough. You can't put a DB on him because the DBs are too short. You can't put a linebacker on him because they're too slow. So he's just one of those dudes. And obviously he was hurt last year and he's had a few down years. That's why he ends up going to the Giants, and the Raiders end up being sellers. And I don't think Josh Jacobs is still reported to camp either. So I was watching that as well too, because I'm like, well, who's going to be the running back? And obviously they drafted the kid Zahir White last year that they had, but it seems like Isaiah Bolden's probably going to be the lead runner in that role. Listen, we're coming down to the nitty gritty now. Like, are you going to report to camp? Is the Jonathan Taylor situation going to get worked out? What's going on with Josh Jacobs? There's so many questions we have.
Whenever you're ready.
And we're about 2 weeks out. It's crazy.
3 weeks out, yeah. And like I said, you think about fantasy drafts, all this other stuff, like all of this stuff that that hasn't been settled, and it's just one of those things, man. I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, who knows? Oh well. With that being said, we did want to dive in to the NFC South today to kind of dig into that division a little bit. Did you have anything else from the weekend? Obviously, we would be remiss if we did not once again congratulate the Bad Burrito Boys on once again another victory coming through. Paulie Parputz with the Victor Hovland, flag in the ground as his guy. And
these guys are amazing.
We talked about, listen, the odds, like the long odds, this is not probably the week for you to take one of those long guys. You're not going to get those huge numbers because there is only, 50 golfers. They whittle it down to 30, and now we have 30, and I'm sure we'll get a great preview from them going in on Wednesday. But if you took any of those guys in like DFS formats or anything like that, there was a winning lineup out there that was probably had for you. So kudos to them once again.
I was definitely talking to the video editor. Shout out to RJ. I know you're going to be watching this at some point.
Yeah, thank you, RJ.
But that's definitely something that we're definitely focusing on is starting to bring up those Wednesdays. I know Jerry started putting some of the clips in. Yeah. But we're going to start some of that out because there's just too valuable information to not be shared.
It's crazy, and I gotta figure out how to do that on YouTube because like you can hit the clip, but then when you hit the clip and you send it out, it just goes directly to the episode. So maybe got to figure out some editing stuff from our boy RJ over there and figure out what's going on. Other than that, before we get into the division, did you see what's going on in California as well too?
A hurricane,
dude. Do you see that during the tropical storm that they had yesterday? What happened?
No, I did not.
Earthquake. While the tropical storm is making landfall, they have a 5.7 earthquake that hits Southern Cali as well too, and so they're going through a lot of stuff right now. I think I heard something that San Diego usually gets 0.2 inches of rain during the month of August, and so far in a day and a half they've had almost 3. So obviously a lot of those places aren't meant to withstand that kind of stuff. Hopefully this helps the drought causes.
I was thinking more of mudslides.
The mudslides are terrible. I'm seeing, basically roads washed out all over the place. So if you are in Cali, we always joke and we always needle each other, I feel like, on the two opposite ends of the coast where we're like, oh, you guys got hurricanes, but you guys got earthquakes, and I'd rather plan for this and this. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And, we all have empathy for one another. And so, I hope all of our friends out there in California, you guys are doing okay, and just everything works out there, man, because it looks like some scary stuff right now, end of day stuff.
The memes are pretty good that are coming out already.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. You said that you saw that Dodger Stadium one of Dodger Stadium where it looked like it was completely engulfed in water. around it. It looked like a moat with a castle and like the.
I was just talking. I haven't seen anything as far as the weather goes. I was just talking about
okay.
the ones that I've seen a couple where the guy goes talking to his friend in California, be like, "Oh, you got a hurricane coming? You having a party?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? Have you stocked up on booze?" Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah. No.
We're like, you got your friends coming over? What? You guys have a party for this?
Yeah, man. Yeah, one of the drunkest I've ever been in my life was a hurricane party in Tallahassee. And it was the reason I didn't drink tequila, actually, for almost 15 years. And the fact of the matter was that we had the hurricane party. Hurricane came through, knocked out whatever. We polished off a keg. We're, playing beer pong or whatever. And then my buddy who owned the house was like, "Hey, you want to shoot some tequila?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "I got 15 different bottles." I was like, "Let's taste them." So we proceeded to taste every bottle of tequila, and
15 different bottles might not have been the way to go.
No, it was bad, bro. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. But c'est la vie.
Yeah,
you live, you learn when you're 20 years old in a college town and figuring out binge drinking.
Captain Morgan drinking out anymore.
Well, we were joking about this yesterday because I was talking about how Hennessy is the presenting sponsor of the U.S. men's basketball team, which I found interesting. I thought it was like a random fact. But Ian was talking about there's a song out about how, like, if you were broke back in the day, you couldn't afford Henny. All you could have was E&J, brandy. And I have so many memories of Irk and Jerk and Dr. Pepper. Irk and Jerk, bro. If you know, you know. Every single night in Tallahassee. So shout out to Eric and Jerk. But very interesting. Did you see? By the way, not to get too much on a tangent. I know we're about to get into football, but did you end up watching the U.S. men's basketball game at all yesterday against Germany? No,
absolutely not.
Great game. USA down 15 points in the third quarter. Anthony Edwards goes absolutely ballistic. How you doing, sir? Anthony Edwards goes absolutely ballistic. Goes off for 30-something. I mean, was just super efficient. Really just took the game over. Looked like the superstar that he can be. He reminds me so much of Tracy McGrady in his prime. Really an incredible player. And they beat Germany in their warm-up game. They come back to win. Obviously, Germany led by the Wagner the Wagner brothers who play here in Orlando. It was a cool connection to see both them on the court as well as Paulo Banchero. For us to have three guys playing in a highly competitive game like that all play for the Orlando Magic, things are pointing up for us. So pretty cool as well too.
Yeah, I got my warm and fuzzies all for you right now.
I know you're happy for me as a Bulls fan and a future Orlando Magic season ticket holder. I know that you are very excited.
2:30 today. 2:30 today. We're picking out the tickets.
Cool, perfect. Well, good luck with that. I hope it all works out for you.
It'll be fine. It's gonna be fine. So we're doing the AFC South today.
Yes, AFC South today.
I'll let you kick it off because obviously I'm in shambles over here.
Yeah, it's cool. So AFC South, obviously we're going to dig into this. 4 teams that you have: the Tennessee Titans, the Indianapolis Colts, the Houston Texans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So when we look at these 4 teams, right, Jacksonville obviously came through last year. They end up making the playoffs. We could start with the Jaguars, but then we wouldn't have much to talk about when it comes to everybody else. So I do want to start off with the Tennessee Titans, if we can go ahead and go with those. They did finish 7-10 last year. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill gets hurt. Becomes a very tough year from there in an uphill battle with Malik Willis trying to go out there and throw balls into the dirt. Looked like he could throw about a 2-seam fastball instead of a football a little bit better.
He was eventually replaced by a Hendon Hooker, right?
Was it Hendon? No, Hendon Hooker. Was it Hendon Hooker? I don't know. Well, to be fair, they do
the bald guy.
They do draft Will Levis with a second-round pick that they have, and so we'll see the way that shakes out. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, a huge asset that they add and a key piece that they have, in addition to a guy that we're very familiar with here in Tampa, and Sean Murphy Bunting that comes through as well too. You do have Arden Key as well as Daniel Brunskill and Luke Gifford, and cannot forget about Peter Skoronski as well too, the first-round pick that they took. So Titans going forward this year, obviously everything runs through Derrick Henry. Now you add DeAndre Hopkins to kind of replace A.J. Brown, who they lost last year, really struggled with. Ryan Tannehill coming back off of that major injury that he had. Will he be able to perform? Will it be the Will Levis turnaround that we have as well, too? A lot of different questions. There's one guy who's really popped to me that I have really liked this preseason, and that's Tajay Spears. third-round pick. They say that the kid is going to play maybe 4 years in the NFL because he's got such bad arthritis in his knees. But right now, he is freaking electric. Literally, the way he hits the hole, I think he's going to be a perfect complement to Derrick Henry. Listen, they have the 5th easiest schedule. It's got to be a rebuild, in 2023. I don't know. Derrick Henry's getting up there in age. At a certain point, when do you tear this down? Do you want Derrick Henry to retire as a Tennessee Titan? At a certain point, if we get to the point where, you're staring 3-10 down, right before the trade deadline, do we pull moves? Do we let Derrick Henry walk and go somewhere? I don't know. Over-under win total is 7.5. To me, that seems about right if Tannehill's going to play. I think Mike Vrabel is an amazing coach as well, too. I think Vrabel just goes out there and gets results from his guys over and over and over again. Personally, for me, when it comes to any fantasy-relevant players, I have a hard time here. I mean, I will...
Well, it's Derrick Henry.
It's Derrick Henry. And, D-Hop is so borderline to me because I don't know what else they're going to be able to provide and run out there on a regular basis. So... if you're going to tell me 7.5, I'm going to take the under on 7.5 wins for the Tennessee Titans this year. But that's so tough for me to say because I love Vrabes, and I think Vrabes is one of the great coaches and able to connect with guys and players and stuff like that. So over under 7.5. I'm going to hold for a second on my over under. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about what you think is going to happen with the Titans this year.
I think that, Tennessee is, to your point, Vrabel's a great coach. Tennessee looks to me like the team that has the key places or key ingredients there, but the ownership doesn't want to fully bake the cake.
Yeah,
like everything is mixed up, and as I'm producing this analogy, everything is in there. We're just missing like a little bit of salt in there, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, something. But but Publix doesn't want to sell that to you today, and I think that encompasses the Tennessee Titans because we've seen them have such great talent. AJ Brown, who they let go. But again, Ryan Tannehill has kind of rejuvenated his career. But let's be honest, Ryan Tannehill is still a middle of the tier quarterback. They didn't go out to try to get anybody until now. They did get Will Levis, who obviously fell into the second round last year. But they bring in D-Hop, which to me is a great addition. But why did everybody else pass on him? It definitely wasn't because of his salary or anything of that nature. So to see him over there, I think that's a good thing. But like you said, when it looks at defense and you're looking at premier receivers, you can double team D-Hop pretty easily.
Yeah.
And who else are they going to go to?
Yeah.
And plus, so you do have Derrick Henry, the workhorse. And to your point as well, I do think if this starts to go sour, I think they completely implode. Because what we've also seen is the devaluation of the running back position while Derrick Henry continues to produce at such a high level. That offense, I would say last year, had to be at least 70% him. So if you're not going to go, I think that, he still carries some value, but I don't know how much you're going to be able to get for him on the trade market, to be perfectly honest with you. We've seen this just completely, kind of disintegrate as far as running back value or anything of that nature. So I don't know what you're going to get for them. I think they're a very mediocre team. I think that there's a team that some weeks that you're going to watch and be like, wow, this Tennessee Titans look really good. And some weeks you're going to be like, wow, how is this team this bad? Mm-hmm. I just don't think that you're going to get the consistency on there. I'm going to hold off on the over-under on this team as well till the very, very end when we release the actual full predictions. But I don't think it's too much to get all excited about, Tennessee fans.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, and here's the thing about Derrick Henry, too, and the reason I say maybe doing a trade deadline deals, if we know anything about Derrick Henry, it's like he usually starts off okay, right? A little bit slower in the warmer months. When it gets cold and it gets tough to tackle a guy of that size and that magnitude and he's coming at you, that's when Derrick Henry excels. When he's putting his shoulder right into your chest, running right over you, and it hurts. When it hurts to tackle, that's when Derrick Henry is running rampant all over your defense, and that's what you don't want to see later in the year.
Coming through the holes, you're going in for the tackle. You're like, do I really want to do this?
Do I really want to stick my head in there and try to make this play happen? I'm not really sure. But yeah, he is a load. That's for sure. Anyway, listen, Titans. It's a huge load coming through that hole. Anyway, Tennessee Titans. We're gonna hold off on your win total before we say something that might get us into trouble or that we don't mean. Anyway, moving on. I know he's got the Indianapolis Colts next, but I do want to move on to a team that's even less relevant than the Tennessee Titans right now, in the Houston Texans. Houston Texans over under win. Huh?
You know what? Before you get into, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think there's a little spark in Texas right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's.
I was going to make a bad joke. I was going to make a natural disaster joke. That wasn't funny.
Yeah, I would do that. I think there's a little spark there.
Okay.
Not like Hawaii. That's what you're going to say.
Something around that. So, obviously, the Texans get 2 first-round picks, being the dumpster fire of the NFL that they were. They do decide to take C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. They do add Dalton Schultz. Jimmy Ward is actually a great pickup as well, too. Sheldon Rankins. Denzel Perryman at linebacker. Devin Singletary at running back. Robert Woods at wide receiver. And yeah, Hassan Ridgeway and Shaq Griffin as well too. Shaq Griffin from right here, UCF. Go Knights, charge on. The only thing they lost was 2 guys who have the Akor Onkwo and Rasheem Green are the only 2 guys that I've seen that they lost that I really am not too familiar with. So yeah, I mean, I think nothing but additions for the Texans this year. My problem is going to be with the quarterback play. I love the fact they're letting C.J. Stroud go out there and try to make it happen and get it done. When I watched C.J. Stroud, and I mentioned this before, I need your eyes to stay downfield. I need you to naturally react to the pocket and move freely in the pocket and understand where you need to be for positioning-wise, but I can't have you looking at linemen, looking down at your feet, looking anywhere other than down the field to make those reads. I don't know if he can do it. Now, Dameon Pierce had a breakout year last year. Will they load the box over and over and see if C.J. Stroud can beat them? You do add a guy going forward in Robert Woods who can stretch it a little bit, who might be an interesting little sneaky fantasy play. But how much can you really expect C.J. Stroud to get him the ball consistently? Ohio State quarterbacks never fared well in the NFL. I would love for that mold to get broken. I think C.J. Stroud has an amazing skill set. I don't know.
First, if it's going to be broken, you'd like to see Justin Fields break that first. Let's be perfectly clear there.
Absolutely.
We'd like to see Justin Fields break that.
I'd like to see Justin Fields be able to throw. Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
You know, to your point, C.J. Stroud still has the college feet, is what I call him. You know, the first instinct is to roll out of the pocket. The first instinct is to scramble away and try to run for yardage, which is what we've seen in the preseason, which has worked well for him. And we've seen that be successful in NFL with Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, things of that nature.
Yeah.
How long is it sustainable for? And I think that's where, to your point, Dameon Pierce comes in beautifully because, there's going to be, an offensive coordinator should be able to eat that up all day long, especially when you know that you have the running quarterback of C.J. Stroud. And I'm sure all defensive coordinators are going to know what his first instinct is going to be when it comes to that. And the first time he gets in trouble is going to be to run. Everyone knows that, so they're going to be scheming for that, and they're going to have to keep, QB spy, keep somebody on him at all times. And then I think that opens up Dameon Pierce, which, I was actually starting to do just a little bit of fantasy research, which I realized that, Dameon Pierce is down there pretty far. Like, there's not a whole lot of faith in him after being drafted so high the year before. I don't really understand that. I think he has another great year. I think the Texans actually have some stuff to look forward to for once in their life. I think they have a little bit to look forward to.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to me. I think it just kind of goes off of C.J. Stroud, though. Devin Singletary coming in is a nice little compliment to go with him as well. And I love that the additions that they made, right? I do love going out and getting a guy like Dalton Schultz, as a safety valve for C.J. Stroud to be able to lean on. I think that's huge, and I think those are very smart, very wise pickups. But I don't think the Texans overall as an organization have ever proven to us that they have done very smart, calculated things. So, listen, we'll see what happens.
Definitely.
I don't know if D'Amico Ryans. Listen, I look forward to D'Amico Ryans. I thought he was amazing last year as defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. And if you look at what the defensive coordinator from the Niners has done historically, it's either been very hit or miss. So we'll see which one this is as well, too. Hello, how are you? Very nice to meet you. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. 6.5, I think, is pretty good in terms of a number. You're telling me they were 3-13-1 last year. Are they going to improve their win total by 4 games this year? I mean, the division's not great, right? Tennessee, Indy, we expect Anthony Richardson to be good, but maybe not transcend them in wins. And transitioning into the Indianapolis Colts, we can go ahead and do that. They were 4-12-1 last year. Obviously, them and the Texans did tie. And listen, they take a guy in Anthony Richardson in the first round who a lot of people weren't sure of. You love the talent, but you don't know how it's going to perform. It's very interesting to me, as a Florida fan who watched Anthony Richardson, what were your thoughts when he originally got drafted, and what have been your thoughts watching him progress through this offseason so far?
Well, I've seen a few things from him. First of all, when I thought that he went pro, I thought it was too early. But then I saw the quarterback class and realized, well, he has the intangibles. And honestly, if you can get paid, go for it. And he did, and he did. We all knew that Anthony Richardson had what it took when we saw him in Florida. We saw the Utah game where he looked absolutely amazing. And then we go to see the next game that we have, and it's just he's not very good at all. A lot of the decision-making skills that we saw, the rushing, the hurry-ups, just some. But then again, as we talked about, and you pointed out so wonderfully so many times, a lot of that goes around coaching schemes and things of that nature as well. Like, what kind of positions is he being put in? I don't know. I'm tired of watching people go in the bathroom. Yeah. What kind of position is he actually being put in, to accomplish these throws? And, then, obviously, he goes to the NFL, and regardless of who you have at the wide receiver level, that's still some of the top 50 wide receivers on the planet. Versus, where in college you have good receivers, but they're probably not top 50 on the planet.
I mean, if you look at their team that they have too, I mean, they add Isaiah McKenzie from Buffalo, who is pretty good already. You have Michael Pittman on the outside as well too, and
I'm just saying, even if you consider them a lower tier receiver, they're still some of the best receivers in the world that are able to make catches that some college players cannot.
Correct, 100%. And I think one of the things too is that I love teams that go in with a plan and execute their plan to perfection, right? So you hire a guy in Shane Steichen from the Philadelphia Eagles who was the offensive coordinator and worked with Jalen Hurts last year to really help him make that huge jump that he made that we saw last year. You bring him in and you draft a guy in the same kind of mold as Jalen Hurts, right? You draft Anthony Richardson, a guy with a big arm, a guy who has wheels, a guy who can make plays, hasn't always been the most accurate passer, hasn't always been the best decision maker. So I think the plan, at least on paper, is right there. Now, the guys that they lost in Rodney McLeod, Paris Campbell, Yannick Ngakoue, those are going to be big pieces that they lose. And I'd love to get maybe at some point before the start of the season, my buddy James Leake, who's a huge Colts fan, maybe on to discuss this. But what's going to happen with Jonathan Taylor? I need to know. Is Jonathan Taylor going to play?
He's play.
Is he going to show up? Is he going to write out his contract? Or, it's funny because like you see him in camp, but he won't participate. Yeah. Like he's at camp, but he won't become a part of it or do anything for it. So I don't know. Those are the big things that I have. When it comes to fantasy relevance, obviously, I've been on the AR-15 hype train for a while now. Since before, the Combine, I thought he was going to blow up at the Combine, and he did. Now, I will say, watching him play the first few preseason games, it's exactly what we're going to expect from Anthony Richardson. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw a ball, that he shouldn't throw, that you're going to say, what are you doing? You want to shake him and whatever. But it's part of a growing process, right? And I think fantasy-wise, he's going to be extremely relevant this year. But I also think that I don't know how many wins that will turn into. And that's not because of him or anything like that. Turnovers will have an issue to do with it, but it also has to do with the defense as well too, and how good is that defense going to be this year going forward. 6.5, I think, is an interesting over/under for the Indianapolis Colts.
I don't think I'm expected to look for anything him until year 3. If he does something good in the next 2 years, okay, but I'm not even going to evaluate him until year 3. I mean, the limited time that he had in college. Like I said, now he's going to be surrounded by professionals all the way around to mold him into, obviously they have a lot of money riding in him as well. They want to see him succeed. I'm not looking for anything in him until year 3. And then, once that comes around, I'll evaluate at that point. But I think that the Indianapolis Colts made an absolute great gamble on rolling the dice on Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And I think that I love, obviously, as a Gator, I'd love to see it pay off. But if it doesn't, I still think that they can look at themselves in the mirror at the end of the day and say that was the right decision. That was the quarterback that we should have taken at that time and not have any regrets about it.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about upside, right, and you look at, he's probably definitely has the most upside of any quarterback that's taken in this draft, whether it be a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young or a Will Levis. I think Anthony Richardson fits the mold for, biggest take a swing, see what happens, let the kid go out there and play, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. But also get the pieces in place to be able to make things as easy as possible on the kid as well, too. And I kind of love what they've done there. 6.5. I'm going to hold off on that over/under too until I see what Jonathan Taylor is going to do and until I understand what everything is going to happen going forward, because that will be very interesting. And one team that always, no matter what, no matter if the Indianapolis Colts have Phillip Rivers or Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan at quarterback, it doesn't matter. They go into Jacksonville and they can't win. And Jacksonville has now placed their claim on this division after the year that they had last year. After going in, they had a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs last year. I know that was one of my big upset picks. I loved that. I loved the over. Obviously, some things happen where we get a fluke turnover on the goal line that ends up costing both those things. Unfortunate, to say the least. Now, I love what Jacksonville has done this year in terms of, who did they really lose? They lost Marvin Jones Jr., they lost Dwayne Smoot, and they lost Jawan Taylor. So
But they added Calvin Ridley.
They added Calvin Ridley. They add Chandler Brewer. They add Dearness Johnson. They re-sign Evan Ingram. They get Anton Harrison in the first round. They draft Tank Bigsby, who, regardless of how much you love Travis Etienne this year, boys and girls, I'm going to tell you what, Mr. Bigsby is going to be an issue for Travis Etienne owners.
He's not going to be an issue for him at all.
Huh?
Jacksonville's outside of the Maurice Jones-Drew days. Jacksonville's always been a two-headed monster.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that last year it was Etienne pretty much, right? It was pretty.
No, it started off. Etienne was the backup when he started off.
Middle of the year on, it was pretty much Etienne. Etienne got a bunch of the burn. He had a couple 100-yard games. I mean, he was the go-to. And I'm just saying that you need to factor into where you're going to be drafting Travis Etienne with the fact that he is not going to be a bell cow workhorse running back. There are going to be other guys who are going to get touches, and Bigsby is definitely going to get some goal line work as well. I see Etienne maybe in between the 20s, and Bigsby coming in and taking over some of those short yardage things as well too. I love the Jaguars this year. Over under is 9.5. I think the Jaguars win 13 games this year. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, without looking at the schedule, I can't do that just yet. But I definitely think the Jacksonville Jaguars are poised to continue the success that they've had. They've seen the reinvigoration from the fan base in Jacksonville. The stadium is selling out again. They're taking some of the tarp covers off. And I think that this year is just going to completely go with Trevor Lawrence, just as most other teams are going to go. If he continues to progress and have the games that he had last year and the blips that we've seen, if he can do that at any type of normalcy level, I think that you're absolutely right. I think the Jaguars could get through. Addition of Kevin Ridley, you got Eric Ebron out there as well. I mean, again, Travis Etienne, you bug me, whatever you said. Another two-headed monster running back. I think that they're poised. They're poised to keep going.
Yeah, it's interesting, and our producer Jeremy Swinson comes through with a stat that Doug Peterson came out and said that he wants Travis Etienne to have between 1,600 and 1,700 yards. I think that's fine to say. I think that's a great storyline too. I worry about sometimes, and this won't stop me from drafting Trevor Lawrence, but it might stop me from drafting Travis Etienne. Is that if I look at their division, right? This is 6 wins right here. They're not losing a game in the division, right? I would be willing to make that bet. They're not losing.
I wouldn't say that. There's a reason why they say it's any Sunday, but they shouldn't know.
They're going to be favored, a good favorite in most of these games that you have, right? And even look at like week 1. I love week 1. TJ was talking about this last night. They're -4 in Indy. Right? Give me -4 in Indy all day. AR's first game. You got a veteran defense going against. I mean, you got Doug Peterson, the coach, going in there. I think the sky's the limit for the Jaguars this year. I just hope they stay healthy. As long as they can stay healthy, I think the sky's the limit. But I think this is 6 wins automatically off their division. You're telling me they can't win 4 more out of their division? I think you're absolutely crazy. Give me the over 9.5 all day. I don't mind taking that right now. I don't mind putting a stamp on it. I will say I think Trevor Lawrence, this year ends up as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. I think Calvin Ridley ends up as a top 10 wide receiver. I think that combo is going to be deadly. And I don't think that you need to sleep on a guy like Christian Kirk. I understand that Ridley's going to get a ton of the work. He's going to be working the outside. Christian Kirk is still going to be able to kind of get rolled around all over the field. You already saw him.
Kirk got the bag, didn't he?
He got the bag. I mean, he got the bag. But and you saw him catch the touchdown in the first preseason game. Lawrence throws the pick, comes out, dots to Ridley over and over again. Kirk in the back of the end zone, touchdown. That's just kind of the way this thing's going to roll this year. Evan Ingram will be like, for me, in like a must draft situation. Right, there's guys with higher upside that I feel like I can get later on than Evan Ingram. And if you look at Evan Ingram, most of his production came in one game last year, where he had 3 or 4 touchdowns in one game.
But he progressed as the season went on.
Yeah, he did, but I don't know. I got to see it first.
I disagree about that. I think Eric Ebron is one of the ones that I would target off the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not only because last year,
Evan Ingram,
to your point, he did excel. Evan Ingram, sorry. To your point, he did excel towards the end of the year. And he did have the big game because that's how Jacksonville's finally figured out how to use him. They started moving him out of the tight end. They started putting him in the wide receiver slot. That's when you started to see him get some of these big catches, the down the field catches where there's no more of the 5-yard out round turn, wait for the ball. We're going 10, 15 yards down the field. We're going across the middle. And I think that Jacksonville continued to use him in that way. And I think that that's why he will continue to have a big season. I project him to be a top 5 100%. I mean, I just think that he's going to take over. Just same thing as like Mark Andrews and that Travis Kelce. That he's big enough, he's fast enough, and he's got the thing. I think as long as Jacksonville wants to use him, whatever form they want to use him in, he's going to be great.
All right, well we differ on that, then that's fine. And
I'm not. Your point though, I'm not reaching up in what would be first round. Like I'm not. Travis Kelce could go second round.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews could go third round. I'm not saying that, but I think right around that 5th, 6th round, if he's still there and you already got your good wide receiver stuff like that, I wouldn't be opposed to taking him in 4th, 5th round.
Yeah, and I probably won't be taking him in the 4th or 5th round because I feel like there's going to be guys who are going to be in that area who have just as much of a chance to pop. If it's not like a Dalton Kincaid from Buffalo, or you're looking at a Pat Freiermuth from Pittsburgh, there's some sneaky guys in there that I feel like are going to be able to get enough targets to be fantasy relevant, and I'm going to be able to get 3 or 4 rounds after, where I'm loading up on running back and wide receiver, and able to take a tight end later on in the draft. You wasted, not wasted value. It's whatever your perceived value is. It's not wasted, but you have your value listed.
Let me project this one for you real quick. If he ends up becoming the number 2 receiver in Jacksonville, number 2 in targets, if that's at the end of the year,
okay,
at the end of the year,
sure,
he becomes
top 5 tight end. Absolutely. If he is number 2 in targets on the Jacksonville Jaguars this year, yes, he will be a top 5 tight end. I don't
heard it here, folks. Chop it, clip it.
Don't see that happening though. I don't know. Maybe. I could definitely be wrong. You could definitely be right.
This is why we look into the crystal ball.
Not an issue whatsoever. All right. So, any other things you have for the AFC South this year? Jaguars, Texans, Colts, and Titans.
I think honestly, like we just said, it's a Jacksonville season to lose at this point. And we can see the Texans that are starting to make some moves. The Colts making some moves. The Titans, again, are just, they are what they are. But to your point, this Jacksonville season, hands down, to run away with this division. They should be minus 1,000 to win the division, in my opinion. I don't know what they are. I think that's free money at this point.
You know what I see too is I see the Texans having a really good defense this year. I could see D'Amico Ryans taking that defense because they had Singletary that they drafted as well, and I forget the kid they have on the other end, but they have some dudes at corner as well to go along with some of the pickups that they made in the offseason. With Will Anderson now and that line, I could see the Texans being a really good defense and still not winning 7 games.
Correct. They're going to lose games 10-3.
Yeah.
10-3.
Yeah.
They're going to lose games like that.
13-16. You know what I mean? The defense scored a touchdown. One of those touchdowns. Guaranteed that is going to be the Houston Texans this year. Just the way that I see it kind of.
The Jags are minus 155 to win the division.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely insane.
It's free money.
It's you're talking about minus 155. I mean,
Free money.
dude, I've literally bet in Clayton Kershaw at minus 380 in a baseball game where anything can happen. This is football.
You don't have to tell me
and
that.
barring a Trevor Lawrence, injury, God forbid. You know what I mean?
Well, that could happen. Yeah,
That'd
could
be the only
happen.
thing.
I mean, that's why they take the bets.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think pretty weak division overall. Like I said, I mean, my main focus again this week is I'm very excited to see what happens on Saturday. I think I know how this quarterback controversy or whatever is going to play out in Tampa.
Yep.
We're going to see it come to fruition. I will be there in my trash jersey, and I will be yelling obscenities at everyone that I can. Anybody that cheers for Baker Mayfield, I don't care if you're a Bucs fan or not. I'm coming after you.
Don't,
There's
bro.
no way that you can defend.
Please
There's
don't.
no way that you can defend that guy.
Please don't
No way.
turn up to Monday's episode with a black eye. I will be very, very
Whatever.
sorry.
If I have a black eye, trust me, the other dude's head split open. So he might get one in.
See the other one.
Yeah.
There is one thing I did want to shout out, and I'm waiting on a text message right now from a very close friend of mine. I just wanted to send, if whatever you believe in, one of our good friends, Joe Corvelli, his father, been in the hospital for a week. He's going through a procedure today, getting a thing implanted into his chest, and just any kind of positive thoughts and prayers and anything that anybody would like to send up and send their way for the family would be greatly appreciated. Joe, we love you. We're here for support, man. And, he's in the best care and hands anywhere in the world, and just got to have faith that everything's going to work out. So want to give a big shout out to Joe Corvelli. Mr. Corvelli is the toughest son of a bitch we've ever met in our life. So, no doubt that man's going to pull through at 84 years old, still going to work every day. Crazy guy, man. Crazy guy. Anyway, anything else? Anything else you got from the Ritz-Carlton there in Sarasota?
No. Now I'm going to go hit up this front desk, figure out where my room's ready, and then each club it is.
Just go hit the pool, bro. Go enjoy yourself. I don't think I got to tell you twice, but be able to work.
Go to the beach club. I'm ready for Miami Vice.
Hey, so how do I?
We'll be back Wednesday with the Wedge Wednesday boys. Accolade another wonderful win. It'll be another show.
Another victory lap Wednesday that we have for you, for the Bad Burrito boys, man. Just to continue on this incredible roll. We'll see what kind of a exclamation point they can put on this golf season that they've had going into the Tour Championship. Correct? Is it East Lake? Is that what we have coming up?
East Lake.
East Lake. Yep. It's always an incredible tournament. Obviously, if you saw the leaderboard and the names, that's only going to continue to be the exact same because of the way that this tournament plays out every year. Absolutely incredible. So can't wait to get down to it, into the nitty gritty. We still have a couple divisions to break down as well too before we give our final thoughts on the NFL football season. I'm really looking forward to it.
So we have this week of preseason that is the final. Then we have 1 week in between, and then they go.
Correct. Yeah.
I have a whole nother week to bash Todd Bowles before actual week 1.
That's true. We could also talk about Billy Napier if you wanted as well, and Mike Norvell and Mario Cristobal.
We could do that in the week leading up, yeah.
Gus Malzahn. If y'all want to hear some college football talk, we can break down the Florida teams, obviously, besides USF, who's irrelevant. Be more than happy to break down the other teams and kind of go from
And
there.
UCF.
UCF's still relevant.
No, they're not.
They're playing in the Big 12 this year. What do you mean? How are they not relevant?
They're not relevant, dude.
Come on, bro. What is it? John Reese Plumlee? Is that his name? Quarterback, Jeremy? Something like that? I don't know. I can't see my chat. I don't know how to work this thing.
Oh, crap. We got college football starts this Saturday.
Yeah. It's week 0 this week. Starting up, so.
Oh, wow. So we will have to touch on a few things. We'll touch on a few things there Friday. We'll do a little bit of a follow-up.
It doesn't matter. Like in week 0 is kind of like whatever. I mean, it's like FIU versus somebody.
I mean, not that. Yeah, Notre Dame plays. USC plays.
Do they play legitimate games, or they play like cupcakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Notre Dame plays Navy, which okay, and then USC plays San Jose State, which they're favored by 30.
Let me tell you. Yeah.
in the real
The
season,
real
you know,
football starts the following
Oregon
week.
kicks off football season with Florida at Utah.
What day is that? Is that the 3rd?
Thursday, August 31st.
Oh, you're the 31st game. Okay, I like that. So you're the 31st, and then for a second, 3rd. So the 3rd is Florida State LSU.
Are you going to that, by the way?
You want to go down there and like do some content videos? Maybe go,
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe go grab a camera and just go do some tailgating, talk to some people, and see what kind of irrational takes people have on the college football season this year.
But one second. Yes, keep going.
Go get into some trouble. That's about it. Who are you? All right. Well, that's about all I got. We'll discuss that off air. I appreciate everybody tuning in today, The Uninformed Fan. Thank you so much for sticking with us even through our technical difficulties and trying to work everything out. I am very computer illiterate.
Big shout out to Jeffrey over there.
Thank God that my 10-year-old has OBS Studio and the streaming set up and everything for himself ready to go, and that I was just able to log in and make this happen today. And shout out to Tyson
you
for
need
walking me
to make
through
sure that you log off of that as well, so he doesn't go live.
Go live on The Uninformed Fan.
Maybe we'll get more views. Who knows?
Listen,
Yes, shout out to Jeffrey and his technical premise over there, which you are going to have to run this on Wednesday as well.
So I know what to do now, so at least it's not not too crazy.
It's easy.
We'll work it out. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much, Tyson. You want to go ahead and sign us off?
That's you, buddy.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Uninformed Fan. Be great.
Keep playing, everybody.